somebody left a comment on my What If Mr. Karate Killed Jeff Bogard. So where will Terry and Andy fit into all this? I don't think they would. That said... Salutations! Surgeon Furanoa here, answering Anime Mafia's question the only way I feel I should, by giving a continuation on my What If Mr. Karate Killed Jeff Bogard. Go see that first if you haven't already. Link in description. If you have, here's a quick recap. Takuma gets taken in for murder. News report says he later suicides. Sakazakis don't do that, claims Yuri, and suspects Geese is responsible for this cover-up. Mr. Karate 2 happens sooner. For Rio Sakazaki, Yuri gets a lot more serious in her training with Robert Garcia, taking that to the next level. So Art of Fighting 2 still takes place, but with things being a bit more different. Yuri finds Mr. Karate 2 and knocks some sense into him. They get saved by Fatal Fury 1 character Tung Fu Roo, a little younger, as this is the late 70s, early 80s Art of Fighting. That actually takes place. Mr. Big plans to off them himself. He gets dealt with. Yuri powers through, deals with Geese himself as well. And Ryo and Robert are there to make sure that this time Geese sees justice rather than escapes. For a time, at least. Because even in the world of SNK, rich white men don't stay in jail for long. But anyway, in answer to the question, where does Terry and Andy Bogard fit into this? How do these events affect Fatal Fury 1 20 years later? The wiki states that Jeff Bogard, in 1981, he returns to the U.S. with Tong and adopts Terry and Andy, but with him being already slain and out of the picture by Takuma before AOF 1, this doesn't happen. But instead of leaving you with just that answer, I saw this as a chance to wrap up the tale of Geese Howard instead of leaving things open-ended. So with no Terry or Andy, Southtown may be lacking a hero? Not quite. Our hero, and now owner of many Kyokugen karate dojos throughout America, Yuri Sakazaki is the one who opposed Geese and exposed him in all his criminal affairs. With Jeff and Takuma's demise being linked to Geese and with knowledge of his involvement in the King of Fighters, she gets a little more hands-on with the Garcias, and they try to figure out his connections. Like, I know he's still out there. We gotta ready ourselves. Art of Fighting 3, in the meantime, resolved much the same. Yuri, back home as the head and spokesperson of this martial arts dojo, looking to take her teachings of Kyokugen all across Southtown, decides to open up her own King of Fighters tournament 1 year after stating, "Prove yourself in the tournament and go one-on-one with Southtown's mega babe and local hero, me, Yuri Sakazaki." Robert Garcia finds this out the second he returns to Southtown after his departure to Glass Hill, New Mexico, for the events of AOF 3. Yeah, I know she shows up to fire a fireball at Weiler, but again, the events change a little bit. Robert can still handle himself, leaving Freya to take the hit instead of Yuri, allowing Robert to gain what he needed to best Weiler. But now he's back from his New Mexico trip. Figures this is a chance to show Yuri what he learned. He's joined by Ryo Sakazaki after he defeated Kasumi and Jin Fuha, also ready to show Yuri what he learned. Tournament goes off, we see some familiar faces. King thinks this is her chance to test her mettle against the sister of the man who beat her in the first AOF. Big took the fall, but never turned rat on his fellow syndicate members, so John Crawley not really seeking revenge, but not really standing still and just letting things go either. John's a very antsy individual. He just wants some personal payback for the Sakazakis. Kasumi Todo stowed away on Rio and Robert's plane home to Southtown. She figures, well, as long as Raya's win over her dad took all the finances on his dojos away, Kasumi eyes a chance to return the favor. Everybody throws down. Last tournament, Ryo in his rage went over Robert. This time, Robert, with more at stake, gets a win and ends up winning the whole tournament, getting his chance to face Yuri one-on-one. Very even between the two. Just when Robert's experience learning new stuff in his Glass Hill outing seems to give him an upper hand, Yuri meets him almost move for move. Both exhausted, they drop to a knee and stare at each other for a bit. Yuri's stare out of competition for the tournament stands up after a while. Robert's stare out of something else and states, "Well, as long as I'm down here on one knee and everybody in Southtown's watching." He pulled quite the crowd there, Yuri. Pulls out a small box from his pants pocket. "Yuri, I owe my everything to your dad and bro accepting me and training me in your family's dojo. I have never hit it off with someone as much as you, though. Neither of us lost focus in our pursuit of martial arts mastery. It only made us stronger. I told your brother before the tournament began that if I won, he'd give me his blessing for what I'm about to ask. I'm not here for your crown or title of King of Fighters. All I want is your hand to wear my ring. Yuri Sakazaki, will you marry me?" Yuri's leap of elatedness trumps any chill upper she ever executed and accepts this. Yuri does one better and says, "Well, if we can't crown a new champion, we can at least throw the mother of all weddings right here. Master Tongue, what are you doing here?" "I've come to watch you kick ass." He's also an ordained minister. What, he can't have a side hobby outside of fighting? So they marry, and together they succeed Jeff Bogard's plan to rid Southtown of organized crime and help the younger kids take them in off the streets. So not directly Terry and Andy, but they were in Southtown when this went down. They are affected by this, so they even settle that long-standing feud of Ryuhaku Todo and Takuma, the former of which was devastated and hid away when his greatest rival and adversary was slain. So Southtown would become a fighter's paradise for all the right reasons. It's not long until the tensions between the rival dojos of Sakazaki and Todo flare up again. The younger Tung Furu thinks, I'm better off keeping my teachings to Hakio Seiken to myself, training only those he himself deems worthy, purpose over profit. Honeymoon time for Yuri and Robert. Going to Robert's old country of Italy, a huge present arrives for them in their hotel room. Hotel attendant, when asked Sue Sinnott, says, I don't know. Robert thinking, oh, this must be a surprise for my new brother. Opens the present, shocked. Yuri screams out in shock at the sight. A terrified Geese Howard, frozen in that fear. Robert checks to confirm it's Geese Howard. Or was Geese Howard. He's dead. Who sent us this? One of Geese's hands clenching an envelope clearly addressed to Yuri with no other name. Robert spots this and opens it up. Greetings to the new Mr. and Mrs. Garcia. I hope this evening finds you well enough. In your haste, I was unable to attend this wedding of yours, so I brought you this as a present. The knowledge that your bitter enemy, Geese Howard, lies dead, and I have you to thank for this. This message will also be declared to your brother. In 1 year's time, I am taking the King of Fighters tournament global. The winner will be the strongest in the world, and the three of you are invited. Refuse to attend, and I may have to pay a personal visit to your students. See you soon. Signed, Wolfgang Krauser.